Thank you. Okay, so you guys can team up if you want. You can help each other if we want to do 2 people. Team up, and we are going to spend some time. So I don't know how long this will take, 20 minutes or so. We want you to figure out the answers to this quiz. So those of you on Zoom, I need to email this over to you really quickly. Oh, there you go.
Do I need to buy this book? Like, do I need to like go and buy this book, or I do not have this at all?
So I'm gonna text in 1 second. I'm gonna text Brittany and I'm gonna have her put your name on it.
I cannot hear you, sir.
He is going to text Brittany right now and make sure that you get a copy of the book.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Sorry, I need
also
a copy
think,
as well.
David, is that
Yes.
copy? Okay. So we need to get David one as well. And I believe I have an ebook. I'm going to look for it really quick and see if we can email that to you, or I'll put it in the chat. Who else on Zoom does not have a book in front of them? Because this next activity for the next 15 minutes or so, you're going to need the book. So the quiz is in the chat. If you don't have a book, you can just go ahead and take a really good educated guess. You could probably even use Google to come up with these answers, and then we're going to talk about them. First quiz of the day. Do you need a book? Are you going to do it with us? Somebody could use this book. Okay. It's probably going to take, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes maybe. So I thought we could work in partners, but you don't have to. But just take some time, and we're going to answer these questions. So looks like Tomas and Emily are on at least number 2. So this might not take that long. Yes. Those on Zoom, do you guys have the quiz? And are you starting to take it? Hopefully that's a yes. And I also have it on the screen as well. But while you guys are doing this, I'm going to look for the ebook.
You're almost done. Click below to get started.
There is no audio. Can you guys hear me?
There, can you hear me? Everybody's doing their quiz in the room, so there is no audio. It's very, very quiet in here.
Oh, okay. I was like,
No.
is it broken or something? Sorry about that. My
Nope,
bad.
it's not broken. Are you working on your quiz? Did you get a copy?
Trying to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out.
I was trying to find a PDF version of the book, which I know exists. I just can't find it in this moment, but use Google. I'm sure you'll be able to find some of these answers through Google. Is there a PDF there? Let me look. I know there is
Harry,
somewhere. Yeah.
did you send out an email with the, sorry, I just got home. I was in the car. Did you send out the email with the quiz or is it
It's
posted in the group?
Yeah, if you go in the chat box on Zoom,
Okay.
it's in there.
Okay. I'm gonna
And if you need
log
to
out and then
resend it-
log in on my computer so I can print it. I'll be
Okay.
right back.
I don't see it on here. I know it exists somewhere. We are doing this millionaire real estate agent quiz. If you want to participate, I'm out of books, so you're gonna have to share. Or people that don't have books, I'm just telling them to Google it and see if you can come up with the answers.
Okay, so because I joined through the computer late, it's not showing in the chat.
Okay, let
Can
me.
someone like maybe resend it? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Can you see that now?
Yes, it just showed up. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. We got a few people on page 2 here in the room. Are you on 2 or 3? Is that page 2? Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. You're like, wait. We'll go a few more minutes and hopefully you'll get all the answers. Everybody doing on Zoom? Looks like here in the room, we're down to the last 1 or 2 questions at the very end. So we'll go maybe a couple more minutes, but how are you Zoomers doing? Got a thumbs up from Sari. Are you almost done? We'll give you an extra few minutes. I know you got started late. Okay, we'll go for like 1 more minute. And if you don't finish, it's okay. We're really not going to grade them. 1, maybe 2 more minutes. Okay, so we will go ahead and let's just pencils down, time's up, right? Is that, I guess, what we heard in school? Okay, so let's just go back to number 1 and we're going to talk about this. So hopefully this was a very crash course in the MREA book, but the cool thing about taking this quiz is it forces you to go through the whole entire book in 20 minutes. So what were a few things that stood out to you that you learned or maybe hadn't learned before? How many of you have read the book, first of all? Got a couple. Okay. Have you even opened it before? Just briefly. Okay. So what did you learn today by going through this quiz and going through the book? What were a couple things that maybe even without looking at your paper that stood out to you? Yes. So he mentioned the energy plan and having everything done by 11 a.m. So that is awesome. And that's something we even were asked today, like, what does the schedule look like for the perfect schedule for a real estate agent? So I think that's a really good place to start if you're looking for a schedule. So the energy plan, which is on, who can tell me what page it's on? Page 308 in the book is the energy plan. I'm going to read that. I don't have my book in front of me. Okay, so those of you that do not have the book, the energy plan basically is meditate and pray for spiritual energy, exercise and eat for physical energy, hug, kiss, and laugh for emotional energy, plan and calendar for your mental energy, and lead generate for business energy, and have it all done by 11 a.m. So page 308. Thank you. What else? What else did you guys get from it? What else stood out? Anyone on Zoom? Okay, we'll just go through and start answering the questions. So number one, what are the 4 stages of growth on the path to $1 million? What do we got? What do we got? Think $1 million, earn $1 million, net $1 million, and receive $1 million. So those are the 4 stages of growth on the path to the $1 million. So we have to first think like a millionaire, then we begin to earn the $1 million. Then we're going to net $1 million, and the ultimate goal would be to give away $1 million. So that's the whole idea behind the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. What are the 3 L's of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent? Number 1 is, just shout it out, leads. 2, listings. Leverage. Love it. Okay. And then number 3, what are the 4 fundamental models of real estate sales success? The 4 models. You're going to hear us talk a ton about these 4 models. So what did you guys get? Did you get all 4 of them? Economic model, lead gen model, budget model, and organization model. So those of you on Zoom that don't have books, fill in these answers, and then we can always go back through your book. Number 4, what are the 3 key areas of the economic model? So what are we focusing on when it comes to numbers? Focus on the numbers you want to hit. Yep. I didn't realize my answers were in front of you. I didn't think I was sharing my screen. Anyway, there's the answers. Focus on appointments. What else did you say? And focus on conversion rates. So these are the numbers of your business that you really need to focus on. Just making sure that we're hitting those. So number 5. Make you guys look at your own answers. What are the, wait, what was it? The 4 laws of lead generation. What are the 4 laws? This is a big one. You did not find it? Okay. Build a database, feed it every day, communicate systematically, and service the leads. So what page was that on for those of us that didn't get it? 175-ish? 185? You don't even have a book, do you? That's amazing. Oh, I'm like, wow, how do you know this with no book? 141. Yeah, it was close. 141. So this is one of the laws for sure of lead generation. If you go up into my office right now, you will see this written on a whiteboard. This is something I try to think about every single solitary day. What can we do to feed our database, service it, add to it, and then make sure we're communicating systematically with it. This is one of my, probably the most important of this page. If we can get down the database, everything else will follow. Okay, number 6, lead with Revenue, not expenses. Awesome. And then what are the 3 key hires of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book? So as we grow our teams, what are the 3 key hires? Listing specialist, marketing and admin manager, and lead buyer specialist. Okay. So these are the ones that I have on here. Where did you find that? I should have told you to put the pages down as you found them. So I have on here, hire admin help. So we want to hire admins first, then we hire talent, and then we train and consult. So Nick even made a comment like, wait a minute, I just want to sell real estate. Why do I have to learn to train and consult people? At some point in your business, you will want to grow this, or you'll need to grow it out of necessity. You're going to be too busy. And Keller Williams is very known and literally wrote the book on building a team. That's the book that we're looking at today. So if you do it correctly and do it according to the book, you have much more success, much more likelihood of success of a team. A lot of people that I've talked to or trained or coached that have started building teams, what we like to do is we like to hire ourselves first. And that doesn't work, right? Because we need help. So just duplicating ourselves isn't the answer. So this is a really important part of the book as well. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, take the people with you. I love that. Yes. That was wise words by wisdom. Or yes. You need lots of help for sure. Okay, number 8, what does RTCK stand for? So we kind of just covered this. Recruit, train, consult, and keep. So that's the idea behind hiring people for your team. Did you guys have a hard time finding that? Looks like you guys are filling in blanks. Okay. Recruit. So we're going to want to recruit talent. We're going to want to train our talent, and then we want to help consult them and then keep them. So following this book, it's going to help you do all of that. Number 9, what is the 80-20 rule? You guys might have known this before going through the book, but how do you define the 80-20 rule? Anyone? Yes, that's a really good way of explaining it. Basically, it's the Pareto principle that 80% of your 20% of your actions will produce 80% of your results. And then it's the opposite. So exactly what you said, 80% are typically like the tasks. They need to be done. They don't necessarily have to be done. The 20%, what do you think our 20% is in real estate? Remember in Ignite, I told you the answer is always prospecting. Yes, lead generation. The answer is always lead generation when anybody asks you anything. So that's our 20% is the lead generation. So 20% of your activities produce 80% of your results. So you want to stay focused on your 20%. So really making sure that you do not skip that. We talked about it a little bit this morning during prospecting that so many of us want to spend so much time in the 80% to avoid the 20%. And we just can't do that and continue to build a business. Okay, number 10, what is the MREA energy plan? We talked a little bit about that already and getting everything done by 11. So that was the one, the spiritual energy, business energy, emotional energy, and what's the other one you have right in front of you? Physical, yeah, physical and mental energy. Okay, number 11, think big, aim high, act bold, and live large. Is anybody having a hard time getting any of these? Do we have them all? You have them? Okay. And that's it. That's it for the quiz. So the whole purpose of me having you start off with the quiz is, like I said, that way we know you've opened the book. That way we know you've gotten through a lot of this stuff to get the key points. And so I'm going to go through this slideshow really quick about the 24 topics so we can add to what you've already learned. So the 24 topics addressed are the key issues for experienced agents. Oh, I don't think I'm sharing my screen. Do that really quick. Okay, can you zoom or see the screen now, hopefully? Okay, so each topic has associated pages. So this is going to give you page numbers as well as we go through this. So we want to consider these pages as the golden pages that we need to know. So you want to commit them to memory, tab them, and be prepared to share them. And a lot of them we've already talked about today. So what is the MREA really about? It's really about thinking big, aiming high, acting bold, and living large. That is on page 23. That's how we just ended our quiz. So, and then the MREA is about models. So we talked a lot about following a model, and this book is full of models. So this is on page 37. Big models lead to big success. So understanding the principle of these triangles, I think it's easy to come into this when you're a new agent and you just want to be super creative, right? So if you look at these, look at the triangle, the stable is really following systems and models first. And when we add creativity on top of the system or model, the triangle is very stable. But if we come in here and we do it the exact opposite, we're not going to do what what's presented before us. We're not going to follow any model. We're going to start with what we want to do first, our creativity. You can see it flips it upside down. So if we do creativity with models on top, very unstable. Marcel.
My father-in-law is an artist, and so I call him a dreamer. And so he has all these plans, but they never come to the end because he's very, very creative, but he just doesn't have the models to get to where he wants to go. So it's just new plan, creative ideas, and then nothing happens.
Perfect example of the creativity versus model. So we want to build a very stable business. We want you to be creative. We want you to be the entrepreneur that you are. But it's after you follow the models first, right? So good point on that. So this kind of shows you how using the models, everyone's going to hit a personal ceiling of achievement. So adopting the right foundational models will help you to break through the ceiling. And if you look at this graph here on this side, it kind of shows you, this is like the process of building your business. Whoops. So we're all going to come in, everybody comes in with their own natural ability. Some people are really good with people. Some people are really good at marketing. Some people, we all come through with our natural ability, and that can only take us so far. So if you come in and you're like, okay, I'm pretty good with people, you're going to sell so many houses. But in order for us to continue growing our business, we have to start breaking through all these ceilings. And that's what the models are going to do to help us do that. So you can kind of see natural ability hits the ceiling. You go through, you add a model, you break through, you add some creativity, hit the ceiling. You're going to have to improve the models to break through again. So that's kind of what this is showing you here. So any questions on any of this so far? Hopefully it's making sense. So the MREA foundational model, so form the basis for breaking through. So that's kind of what we just talked about. You'll see a lot of triangles when it comes to Keller Williams and explaining things. This is another triangle that you want to think about a lot. So it's leads, listings, leverage. So you can see the system or the model is leads first, then you get listings, then you get leverage. And leverage is basically, that's where we're going to start hiring people. We're going to start incorporating additional help, systems, things like that to add leverage to what you've already built with your leads and your listing. So leads, to succeed in real estate, you have to have client leads. It's that simple. So again, it kind of goes back to the lead gen, right? We don't have leads, we don't have much of a business. And that appears on page 40, the concept of that. Listings. So listings are the high leverage, maximum earning opportunities in our history. So that's on page 41. That just kind of explains the difference between listings and buyers. So on average, a buyer takes 4 times longer than a listing. So as far as like hours that you put into it. So we say listings are leverage. And basically for that, it's number 1, time. But number 2, when you put a listing up and you have a sign in the yard, you're more likely to pick up another piece of business off of the marketing. When you're working with a buyer, it's kind of hard to market to get other people other than just your word of mouth. So that's why listings are leverage. Leverage, working smarter via people, the who, the systems, which is the how, and tools for what. So when it comes time to start building leverage, you can always think, what has to happen? Who do I have to hire? What tool can I start using? And what system do I need to put into place? So these are other forms of leverage that you can start adding on to your business, also on page 41. Then we have the 4 stages of growth as one of the topics in here. So again, we've talked about this was in the quiz, but you have the triangle of the leads, listings, leverage, and then you have to start first by thinking $1 million, second, earning the $1 million, third, netting the $1 million, and fourth, receiving the $1 million. And then the ultimate one is to give away $1 million, right? According to the book. That's on page 44. Another topic in here is the 6 common myth understandings. So if you look on page 61, there's a whole bunch of these. There's 6 that are the most common. So you can take a look at page 61 to read through those. Another topic in the book is the try, which is the real you. Most people will never know who they are. I need to move these faces. Who they really are or what they can really achieve because they fear to try. The real you can show up only when you try. So this concept is on page 294 of just becoming the real you and how to make that happen. And then we're going to go through the think. So part of the thinking on the very bottom, the foundation of the model, is thinking powered by a big why. These are the foundational. Think big goals and big models. So is your goal big enough to push you through the ceiling? Is your goal big enough to help you get through the things that you don't want to do? You know, do you know what your why is or what your goal is? And then the supportive thinking are think possibilities, think action, think without fear, think progress, think competitively and strategically, think standards, and think service. So these are all the ways that the millionaire real estate agent thinks. And that's on page 71. The next topic is the big why. And it's in there. I don't know what page number it is, but it's in there. But this is really where you start to break down your big why. So it's one thing to say, I'm in this business to make a lot of money. Well, why? What does that do for you? So this is how you can get to your big why, by breaking it down over and over and over again. So I want to make a lot of money. Why? Well, I want to be able to treat my family to vacations. Well, why? Because that way I get to spend more time with them. Well, why? Because I love them. It's important to me. So just continue breaking that down until you feel that powerful why. And that's just an example of showing you how to do that. So this kind of continues going back to your big why. So I'm going to encourage you, if you do not know your big why, if I were to ask you today or put you on the spot, why are you doing this? Can you answer that? And if you can't, you should really take some time to figure that out. So that's kind of what this exercise is. We're not going to take time to do that today, but if you are clear about your life purpose, it will give you credibility when asking others to determine theirs. So if you think about it, we're constantly asking the motivation of the seller all the time. You guys looking at? Oh, like you guys all looked right there at the same time. Oh, nice. We have a bike rider in the window, guys. But yeah, so we're constantly asking the motivation of sellers and buyers, and we need to help them dig down too. Like, we need a bigger house. Why? We need to live in this area. Why? And really digging down to finding out their motivation, because purchasing a home or selling a home is so much bigger than just purchasing a home or selling a home, right? So it helps us to know our why so we can help other people figure out theirs. Number 5 is value proposition. The very best real estate agents are able to translate the reason people should hire them to provide a specific set of services. We call this their value proposition. So on page 94 to 95, this is something else I would really encourage you to take time, spend some time in this book to figure out what is your value proposition. What are you able to offer people? On page 94 and 95, there's a whole list of different things that we do as agents. So that's going to help you really start to articulate, why should somebody pay us, right? Why should somebody pay us $30,000 or $20,000 to help them with the sale of their home or the purchase of their home? So just think about that, how we can add to that. So next we're on earn, when we're going through the model of think, earn, receive, net. So the next one is know your numbers. We kind of talked about this already with the quiz, but 2 sets of numbers in the MREA that we always want to be aware of. And we've talked about this, but the goals. So what are our annual goals? And then the actual numbers monitored weekly and kind of acts like a compass. So we talked about this morning. How many people do you need to talk to hit your goals? What are your conversion rates? Are you going on a lot of appointments, but you're not getting the actual clients? What do we need to be doing? And the only way to know that is to really track your numbers. So start tracking those. And you can see this on page 107 through 109. So do you know your numbers? Do you know right now your conversion rates? And it's okay if you don't, but start tracking them so we can start figuring out what those are. Do you know your goals? That's a big one. Do we even know where we're going? Okay, so then it turns into the 8 goal categories for the MREA. So leads generated. Do you know how many leads you need in order to get listings? How many contracts do you need to read or write? How many contracts do you need closed in a year? How much money are you looking to make? Who are the people you need in your life to accomplish these goals? What systems and tools do we need to put into place? And what is your personal development education plan? So these are just the 8 categories of building out your goals. So if you don't have the goals, this is a good place to start, which is page 107. Then of the earn, so recognize the science of success. Stay faithful to the MRA models, then innovate. So this kind of goes back to the creativity versus the model, right? So stick to the models before we start getting really creative in your business. And that shows you on page 119. Okay, so then the next topic is the 4 fundamentals, 4 fundamental business models of the MREA. So we talked a little bit about this too, the economic model, the lead generation model, the budget model, and the organization model. So basically this book came about by Gary Keller interviewing the top 100 agents in the world and coming up with what it is they all have in common. So that's where he came up with these models and these numbers. So you can just follow these based on what your goals are. But these are 4 models you absolutely want to put into your business. And those can be found on page 120 to 122. And we teach a lot about these models too, so you're going to hear them a lot. This is just a diagram so you can see just a visual of the 4 models. So lead gen model, prospect and market, set up your database, systematically market to it, focus on your seller listings. And then we're also focusing on the budget model, which different things you're going to hear is lead with revenue, play red light, green light, and stick to the budget. So that's really like, when is it time to spend money? When is it time to hold back on spending the money? When do we need to slow down? Lead with revenue. The organizational model comes into play when it is time to start building some leverage and building in, additional people on your team. So that's really going to show you, when is it time to hire somebody? Who do I hire? What am I looking for? Who do I train? All of that stuff. Who do I need to consult with? Yes. RTCK. Yes. And then the economic model, which is really all of those numbers that we've talked about. So it kind of just shows you how they work together. Okay, so a lesson from Warren Buffett: the right models do matter. And it's recommended on here that you read the MRE book 12 times to really master it. And I can tell you, I've been here 10 years and I have not read it 12 times. So I feel like I've read it a lot, but probably not front to back. But 12 times. How do you guys feel about that? Especially when you haven't even opened it or read it yet. Let's just get through it once. But the idea is to read it 12 times. So the lesson from Warren Buffett, that appears on page 127. You guys can take a look at that. And then the next topic is the economic model. So again, just breaking all of these down. So if you need to break down the numbers, here's the page numbers. So focus on the numbers you must hit. So it's on page 130 to page 132 as far as conversion rates go. This kind of shows you, and all of these are in your book, so you can take a look at these. Just really coming up with what your net income plus your expenses, what is your gross income that you need to do. This gets a little bit tricky, so both Nick and I can help you figure this out if you don't have this or you get stuck on it when you go through here. But basically, you're just filling in the blanks. What is the average commission rate? What's the average sales price? How do we get to your conversion rate? So an example is right here. Actually, this is not the numbers one. This is just another breakdown of adding, dividing. How do we get these numbers? Here's some that actually have numbers. And these numbers are quite old. You can see an average sales price of $250. That would be great. That's long gone. But what that means is you get to do less sales and make the same amount of money nowadays, or do more sales and make more money. But this just kind of shows you how you can break down some of those numbers to come up with it. A good idea on here when you're doing this is when you're beginning and you're not sure what your numbers are, you don't know, I don't know how many buyers I'm going to work with. I don't know how many sellers I'm going to work with. I always tell people to start 50-50. Half of your clients will be sellers, half will be buyers. And then as you get moving, through your business a couple years in, you'll really be able to look back and go, okay, I'm actually 60-40, or I'm actually 80-20 buyers, sellers. This also gives you some suggested conversion rates. So like on listings, 80%, conversion 65%. So this is just showing you, these would be some numbers I would start with as you're building out your own goal sheet with this. And then again, after a year or two, we can look back at actual data and have it updated for you. So if you go through this one, this is basically just going to show you how many sales you need if you input all of those numbers. Takes time to figure out the goals for sure.
Can I ask a quick question?
Hello? Yes.
On that page, it had like your goal, but then 20%. What was the 20% for? Right there where it says regression analysis, it has 200,000
Oh,
plus.
I believe that's taxes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You want to put in there, we have to add in there enough to pay taxes. And a lot of times people look at that and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so huge. It's such a big number. That's just a good suggested amount that we start with. And then you can talk to an accountant or something to really narrow that in, because depending on how you do your taxes, you should be able to get that number down. But that is what that 20% is. Good question.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So the lead generation model works synergistically with the economic model. Lead generation is key to mind share. So we've talked a lot about lead generation. The whole point of it is just staying in front of people and really just making sure we're top of mind all the time. So we dive deep into this on page 134. The 3 key areas is another topic. So prospect and market, page 136. Does anybody know the difference between prospecting and marketing and why we have to do both? Or what's your thinking behind that? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's a really good way to explain it. Exactly. So basically she just said prospecting is more like going out and making connections and talking to people, and marketing is more like putting up a billboard, although we're not necessarily making a connection. So yeah, I would say one is passive and one is much more proactive. So prospecting is very proactive, marketing is passive. It's important that we're doing both though. And doing the marketing behind the prospecting is just going to up your conversions that much more. Set up a database and feed it. You've heard us say that a million times. We're going to say it a million times more, but that's on page 142, which would be the laws of the database. And then systematically market to your database, which is like our smart plans, any kind of automated marketing, automated texting, anything like that. We want to systematically turn that stuff on. I'd say that's most commonly our smart plans. So this all appears on page 133. And then one of the other topics here that you can see is the difference between the prospecting and marketing. So here is just kind of a good list. And so if you're ever wondering, like, what should I be doing today? I don't know who to call. I don't know who to talk to. Page 138, I think this is a really good place for you to go, oh, okay, I could be doing some networking events. I hadn't thought about that. Or, oh my gosh, a seminar, or maybe a booth at event. It doesn't sound like what we're teaching, like lead gen, make your 10 contacts a day, make your 20 contacts a day. It's something different, but it's the same thing. So these are just really good ideas. I also think on the marketing over here, these are also some really good things you can add into your value proposition and why somebody should hire you. So when people are asking, how are you going to market my property? This is a really good place to kind of go and look at. Nick is going to be teaching servicing listings on Thursday. So we'll be talking a lot about some of these on Thursday as well, but these are great pages just to help you understand your own value proposition. This just displays a little bit more about the lead generation model. It kind of looks like a target. So we want to really start by prospecting and marketing. It's kind of to the masses, and we want to get everybody down to closer to this allied resources and one-to-one relationships. So that just kind of shows you how we start big, general public, people we haven't met, and then we narrow them down to what we call as the met group. So more people that we know. And we do that through the 8x8, the 33 touch, the 12 direct, which are basically just systems and models that you're going to follow to get them closer to the inside of the target. And that is on page 137. Okay, so the next one is the 8x8. So kind of breaking that down. So the 8x8, so anybody that goes into your system, we want to get them on your 8x8 program. So that's basically 8 touches in the first 8 weeks to really cement the relationship, kind of like saturation. So systematic ways to establish relationships, and it makes contacts once a week for 8 weeks. That's an 8x8. So on page 146, it gives you just an example of what an 8x8 could look like. There's a lot of them pre-programmed in Command that you can use. You can create your own smart plan in there, use what's already in there, or like I said, this is a really good sample of what an 8x8 looks like. The 33 touch, or now we've upgraded it to the 36 touch, which basically just means we're communicating 3 times a month with the people in our database. So page 147 has a really good example of what it could look like. These are also built out for you in Command as well, so you don't really have to think about it. But if you wanted to kind of do your own, this is a good place to start looking at that. How do you communicate 3 times a month? And then we have the 12 direct. So this is really for people that we necessarily haven't met, kind of that more general population that we're just trying to continue staying in front of, following up on leads, things like that. But the 12 direct is more like mailing something once a month. So 12 direct mail pieces mailed out annually. I do recipe cards. Some people do other things, but that's just kind of an idea of something they're getting every single month. It could be like home tips and tricks. Just kind of come up with something. So you're doing the 33 touch, 12 direct, and 8x8 as you're building the database. And you can see this on page 148 to 149. Then this kind of talks about the ratios. So 12 direct has a 50-to-1 ratio. The 8x8 with the 33 touch has a 12-to-2 ratio. So basically what that means is for every person that you've met, that you've done an 8x8, and you continue to do the 33 touch, for every 12 people in your database, you can expect to get 2 deals. One is usually a direct deal, and one is more like a referral off of the deal. I like to say it's simpler and just say it's typically a 10% return. So if you build a database of 300 people, you're doing a 36 touch with the 12 direct, you're really doing everything systematically in here, you can generate a 10% return, which would be about 30 deals from 300. It's just simple math, but this is the ratios that they came up with in interviewing all of these agents. So the next one is lead generation, using lead generation ratios below. How many are needed in your database to reach your annual goals? So that's something you guys can think about as well. Going in there and just creating your goal sheet. How many do you have to have in there in order to get to your goals? And those are found in your book too. I don't have the page number, but it's all going to be in the lead generation model of the book. The 4 laws of lead generation. So we've already talked about this, but the 4 laws are: build a database, feed it every single day, communicate to it in a systematic way, and service all the leads that come your way. So this is found on page 188. Feed it every day is one of the biggest ones. I think people, that's the one that we skip the most. So just give yourself a goal: 5 a day, 1 a day, 10 a day, 20 a week, something like that. Come up with a goal based on how many deals are you looking to do. So if I'm trying to get to those 30 deals, I need to be marketing properly to 300 people. I'm at 50. I've got to add 250 people more. What does that look like weekly? Break it down daily, come up with your number, and just feed it every single day. Then we have the budget model, which is the 3 key areas. We filled this out in our quiz as well. Lead with revenue, not expenses. play red light, green light, and stick to your budget model. And the budget model can be found on page 152. And that's really, again, just kind of breaking down all the numbers. The number 15 is MREA budget model. So the cost of sales, operating expenses, and the big two, which are salaries and lead generation. So those are the two biggest places that you're going to be spending money on as far as when it comes to a budget. And if you get into the book under the budget model, it literally breaks it down into percentages for you. So you want to spend some time in there graphing all of that stuff. Another topic in the MREA book is the chart of accounts. So this is really helping you as it comes to knowing your numbers, it comes to knowing your expenses, knowing your budget, all of that at the end of the year to give to an accountant or somebody. The chart of accounts is going to help you identify where your money is going or where it should be going. And that is in there under the budget model as well. Oh, here's an example of it. So the example of the budget model, this is on page 157. These all still ring very true as far as percentages and where you want to be spending money. A lot of times, if you look at this, lead generation should be 10% of your income. That sounds really high, but I have found many times that when people are not hitting their numbers, they're not spending enough money on like lead generation. So sometimes it's like, wait, you want me to spend more money? Yes, because you do need to get to a point where you're spending at least 10% of your income on lead generation and all these other things too, technology, supplies, things like that. And then the organizational model, which the three key areas, when you're doing all you can do, it's time to hire administrative help. So on page 159, how to hire talent, which is basically more people for your team. That's on page 161. And then we have to train and consult them. And that's found on page 164. So again, when you're looking to build your business and you're ready to start building your team, the organizational model is set there and you really do want to follow it the best you possibly can. And when you're ready to start hiring people, let us know. We also use our KPA to help people find the right people. So just let us know when you're ready and we'll help you do that. This is just an example kind of showing you the organizational model for the millionaire real estate agent. So you can see it's like starts with an agent, goes to marketing, listing specialist, lead buyer, and then it continues to grow from there. So like I said, a lot of times people they just want to hire themselves. So then like if you're really good with people, your admin's not getting taken care of, right? But you probably need a good admin. But instead we go hire somebody who's just like us. So follow the models, and that's on page 197. On here there is, if you go to kellerinc.com, there is a whole sheet and it's called 192 tasks. So if anybody ever asks you, what do we do as realtors? There is this task list that shows you we do over 192 things. So did you guys know that you do 192 things as realtors? What'd you say? It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's important that people know what we do. So again, adding value, adding this to your value proposition, really understanding and knowing what it is that we do and why do we make so much money, right? Because people are always like, you just stick a sign in the yard. Why am I paying you $20,000? Knowing this and knowing exactly what we actually do is going to help you feel good about your value. And telling them, yes, Nick said, telling them what you do along the way, it's so important. A lot of times we just work, we hustle, we do our 192 tasks and nobody knows we're doing it. So yes, I love that. Make sure your clients know how hard you're working. Profit sharing. So that is one of the topics of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book that's found on page 209. We're not going to spend a ton of time in here, but that's definitely something that we can help you do. So basically, as you sponsor agents into our company, you can receive a portion of the profits. So just know that as an option too. And we do it for you. You just have to give us their name. So now we are on, so we've talked about thinking, earning, netting. And so netting is, again, implementing the models, leads, listings, leverage, money, and you. And that breakdown is on page 219. Systems documentation is another topic. So 7 steps to organizing your business. And once you've done that, you basically have created your operations manual. So as you're building your business, you really do want to think about at some point, believe it or not, you're going to want to be done with all of this. And so it's really good if you're documenting your actual systems, documenting what it is you're doing, document your training manuals, all of that. Because at the end of your real estate days, it would be nice if you had it packaged so beautifully, you could put a bow on it and sell it to somebody. So that's the kind of the idea as you're documenting things. And that's why it says, congrats, you now have an operations manual. So document it as you go. We even, as an example, so we did the pancakes and prospecting today. We had a meeting. We're like, okay, how do we turn this into a system? What happens every time we do this? What happens every, what text do we send? What emails? Because we want to scale and duplicate things, but you don't want to redo it every single time. So we're constantly thinking, how can we make a process or a system or a model out of this? And then another topic is goal to action, the 20%. So again, the 80-20. Talked a lot about this, but your 20%, make sure it's on your calendar. So when are we lead generating? And then your daily to-do sheet should also be on your calendar as well, the 80%. And then counterbalancing your life. When you see a successful person who appears balanced, realize it is an illusion. So I always call it the B word, like it's a bad word, because it's really hard to find. Balance is super hard to find. And so if you read the One Thing book, it talks a lot about that. Like balance really, when you go 100% on something, something else has got to give. So just think that you have to counterbalance. So if you're going too hard on one thing, we're going to back up on the other thing. So just know that that is an illusion. And then now we are at the receive. So 4 issues: active versus passive income, opportunity of the 7th level, the 3 key hires, your role and responsibilities. So this is as you start getting into building a team. That is what it means. There's a 7th level team. And that's basically when at some point you completely move out of the business, but you're still making money. So that is in the book. That's like the highest level that we have in the book is a 7th level team. And that appears on page 263. So we want to have several streams of income. And that's kind of what it's talking about here, the active versus the passive. The journey of working in your business versus on your business. So kind of think about that too. So set and do the standards is something that you're working in the business. Maintaining standards, that's in the business, on the business. And then accountability to standards. So you want to inspect what you expect. So if you do have standards, you're starting to hire people around these, you want to make sure that they're being maintained. So being an agent is I do it. Being a manager is we do it. And being the owner is others do it. So kind of think of this as you're building your business. That's on page 267. Time blocking. Hopefully you guys got to go to Nick's class 2 weeks ago. That was awesome on time blocking and working with the calendar. But working in your business versus on your business. So working on your business is more like kind of the passive stuff, the marketing, the things like that. Working in your business is more like the daily activities, the actual activities that you're doing, the door knocking, the phone calls, all of that. Identify your 20% and put it on the calendar. Don't compromise goals and activities to achieve them. So let's not bounce over to the 80%. You've got to stick in the 20 in order to achieve your goals. And then if you do happen to erase something, you must replace it. That's kind of the key to working with the calendar. So if we move our lead generation, it's okay. We can be flexible, but you have to replace it somewhere else in the day. We can't just skip it. And that concept appears on page 267. This kind of shows you the 7th level concept. So this is in the book too. You can see, everybody starts at level 1 with 1 agent, 2nd level agent with an admin, goes all the way down to the 7th level. So you can see kind of what that looks like. At that point, you are usually typically making $1 million or more per year once you hit that 7th level. So that's the idea here, is that you're going to get all the way down there one day. And that's on page 273. Topic number 23 is 5 simple steps. Create a personal plan and make process your focus. Time block to keep your focus. Get accountability to keep your focus, and make sure your environment supports your focus and keep your energy high. So that can all be found on 291, but that's the simple steps, right? It just seems so simple. Time block and stick to it, basically. And then number 24 is the MREA energy plan, which we've talked a lot about today, and I love it, is meditate and pray for your spiritual energy, exercise and eat for your physical energy, hug, kiss, and laugh for your emotional energy, plan and calendar for mental energy, and lead generate for your business energy. And we're doing all of this by 11 o'clock every day. Can you imagine if your job was done by 11 o'clock every single day? It would be awesome. And then we go service the people, right? So those are the 24 topics of the MREA. So hopefully you learned a ton about this book and why it's so important that it's a workbook. It's a guidebook. It's not meant to be read front to back and put on a shelf. So they have cool versions. You can even see a lot of us use our books more than others. I do have, there's a student edition that actually, or a teacher edition that actually has a spiral bound tabs through it. It's really cool. You can buy it for like $50, but you can get that from Keller Ink as well. So that one's nice because you can flip the pages and stuff, but read the book, carry it with you. What questions do you guys have? It's a lot of info. So much. It was a lot. What did you take away? What were a few things that you're like, okay, this really stood out to me? Yes. Yes. Follow the models, then be creative is basically what Emily's saying. Yes. Very good. What else? Anybody on Zoom? Are you guys still awake? Anyone? Anyone? What are you guys learning in Zoom land?
Just some key points to really pay attention to when I read the book.
What did you say? Can you repeat that?
Just some key points to really pay attention to when I'm going through the book.
Yes. Yeah, and that's why I like the quiz. If you just kind of go back through the quiz that you see there and really dive into the book, you're going to get a lot of good information. So thanks, Cody. Yes. Gets us out of the day-to-day, Nick said, and teaches us more how to run the business, which I think is so true. That's the whole point of this book, is how the heck do we do this? And there's your blueprint right there. Okay, you guys. Well, thank you. I think we're a little, I know this class goes 4 to 5:30 sometimes, so hopefully I'm not too far over your schedule, but you're either getting out early or you're 10 minutes late. So thanks for coming. Let us know if you guys have any questions. We will be on the script call tomorrow at 8:30, lead generation at 9, and we will be doing pancakes and prospecting again next Monday at the Salt Lake office. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Nick.
you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.